All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son, the Hamashiach, who some call Yeshua, Yahawashai, Yahusha. We mostly know as Jesus Christ, Yashayah. Um, what's the brother name? Marvin Sapp. Um, Singer, of course. I know you know this video a little late, but it's viral. And I said, man, let me say something about, because I see things a little different. I see things slightly different. Um, this brother was a gospel singer, famous gospel singer. Never could have made it. Back in the day. I ain't gonna say back in the day. Well, yeah, we old in the 90s. But it's a different time now, and some of the antics and things that they did back then, and some of this stuff is not you can't do it today because it can go viral. You can go viral. People are filming. You're online, and things don't look appropriate. Things look like, wait a minute, bro, you tripping. And I do think that I feel the same way with people on that man, he went a little, he had to say lock the door. I mean, he didn't say lock the doors. I think people kind of, but he said close the doors. Yeah, understanding too, man, that when you're leaving the church, the ushers are in charge of that door opening and closing. If you come to church late, they're gonna wait for a certain break before they open that door up to let you. I never really understood that growing up. It's like, man, why you not letting me in? But they don't want to just keep. They ain't finna just keep opening and closing that door, because it may distract the pastor, may distract the word. And so they're in charge of this door, and it could have been a play on that where he's telling the ushers, "Hey man, close the door. We ain't finna let nobody out yet. Service still going until I get this point." But thus outside of the church community, it's gonna look a little crazy. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I say I agree. It looked crazy. You know what I'm saying? But I did want to speak on just us, just black culture, and man, it's kind of disappointing too, because we're never going to be able to build nothing. That's what this kind of shows. Like, man, we ain't gonna never be able to build nothing, man. We'll never be able to pull it together, and don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? We have characters like Umar Johnson. Man, people been pouring into. I ain't gave him a dime, so I can't. I can't say, "Hey, man, what you doing?" and da 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 da. But man, so many people been pouring into him, and haven't received nothing in over 10 years. Haven't received millions of dollars. But in these churches, these people getting what they want. They getting what they came for. I'm gonna show a couple of clips here. It's only 5 minutes worth of film, y'all, and we got to understand church business. That's one thing Israel do not understand, and that's why we're stuck in these little storefronts. For those who even blessed enough to even get a storefront, why we're not able to move past that. There's one place, but I think they may have already had the church and then church, but it's a Church of God of Israel, the Church of Israel of God, or something like that. Something very close to that, off of Covington Highway. Is it Covington Highway? No, Redan. Off of Redan Road in Atlanta. brother, you don't like you wearing fringes when you come in, but you know they keep feast days, do all of that stuff. We the people, and be obedient to the law, statutes, and commandments, faith in Christ. They do have a decent sized church. It's not big, but it is a moderate sized church, or building, whatever. But I think they converged over to Israelism, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I know the pastor is up in age, and yeah, I think they converged in there. I'm speculating they converged into that. But a lot of us don't understand church business. I remember Bishop Nathaniel saying that he was trying to get a loan from a church organization, and that the church organization had to they were saying, man, our doctrine has to align, and so they didn't feel comfortable giving him a loan for him to acquire this church. A lot of these loans too go extend over 100 years. They got like legacy loans where, okay, I'll give you 100-year mortgage on this particular land. I.e. TD Jakes and his daughter. Like, the Jakes name has a legacy tied to it, and she may have kids. Well, they have kids with her husband, and her husband pastors also, and so that Jake's name is there. He can secure 100-year loan because he has the already has his predecessors there to take over the loan. And so you have a loan. That loan, they can lower the payments and get bigger bill. And man, and being a bishop, you planning churches tidying up. But let me go ahead and let this thing play. I'm sorry, y'all.
He's not a bishop. He's just somebody who sings very well.
See what he said? He's not a bishop, whatever. But he's just somebody who sings very well, But anyway, he done planted churches. That's how they feel like they're a bishop. And I told you they tied that money up, meaning, say TD Jakes, what was that brother name? Michael Todd. He might have trained up Michael Todd, planted him into a church, gave him had him the loan. Say the loan is $40,000 a month. And so, TD Jakes, planning sold him into this, and got him this mortgage for this land, for this building to be built. Give me $40,000, and give me pay me the money for the mortgage, and give me 15% of the tithe money. All right, and so they pay they 40,000 every month. And then out of the tithes, they give 15% up to TD Jakes. Now, this is just, I don't know if I'm not saying that works like that for them, but I've heard that in a smaller church locally around here, because I do a lot of church stuff for about 6 or 7 different churches out here. I've done like the pastor's robes and the deacon shirts and stuff like that. But anyway, choir shirts, choir robes, and I get to talking to them and going back and forth, and and then there be some slick stuff in there, man. I stopped going to that church because so and so, and then they anyway. But yeah, the tithing up, it's a system to it, and I was seeing brothers may have, like Geno Jennings may have up to 100 churches. I've seen. I think that brother heard that brother Facing Gate say something like that. But it's all about planting these churches, and then eventually you tied up. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me get this thing going.
Got a church.
Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. I get 1,000 online to give this. If I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000.
Honestly, it's time to come clean about giving in the New Testament.
And I'm gonna say this too. It's 20. He asked for $20, y'all. That's the thing that disappointed me. It's like, dang, man, you go viral for asking for $20. He went viral for asking for $20. He said it was 4,000 people in it. I need 1,000 to give me $20. And he went viral. And let me let this brother finish. But what he says at the end is it's a very true statement.
Church, period. Because pastors are still out here having people to give in a compulsory way, which is unbiblical, and it's not what we do in the New Testament church. Let's start at the rich young ruler. He came to Jesus and said, what does it take to have eternal life? Jesus says to him, if you want to be perfect, sell everything you have and give it to the poor. Yes, that scripture was addressing that young man's idolatry for his money, but it was also saying the truth. Every single thing we have belongs to Jesus. So to be a perfect giver is to give everything. And in the book of Acts, when the Holy Spirit fell upon the church, they were so filled with the Spirit that they sold all of their possessions, and then it was redistributed through the leadership of the apostles. And you go on to Apostle Paul, who makes it clear, though, in the New Testament church, God loves a cheerful giver, not grudgingly or of necessity. As a man purposes in his heart, let him give. That's how the New Testament church operates.
And when I went back and I was reading, I was like, you know what? That cheerful giver. He loves a cheerful giver. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone that gives a whole bunch of money, but someone that cheerfully, someone that gives happily, not upset about it. They're smiling. They want to do it. I want to help. How can I help? Oh, you need this? Well, here's $5. Just take it here. And it may not be a lot of money. Like I say, maybe $5. Here, $5. Here you are. You know what I'm saying? And you're happy about doing it. Versus someone who's been forced to do it, or like in this case, been you don't want to feel like everybody looking at me. I mean, it was a situation too with T.I. and them went to New Birth. They went to New Birth. Was it New Birth? I think it was New Birth, and I think it was Kanye West. It may not have been New Birth. I want to say it is, but the pastor said, "Man, I knew somebody gonna sold $10,000 or something like that," and he thought he was looking. I think he was looking at T.I. or whatever. But I think it was some kind of event there. If it was the Kanye West Sunday service, I think that's what it was. And T.I. kind of got upset about that, but at the same time, bro, they know you only came to that church because Kanye was there doing a Sunday service. They know that you only came there, and with this Sunday service, they probably paying for that. That costs. Everybody's on staff. And now you done came in, we done sat your front row. You gonna come out the pockets. You gonna come out that pockets. You gonna come out because you want to sit front row. You want to be protected. Man, we gotta have all kind of police. You think these police here for free? You think these police here serving the Lord?
Now, will God honor a tenth? Sure he will. It was a principle that existed before there was even law. Human beings, even outside of Israel, looked at the 10 digits of their hands and said, hey, maybe 1/10 of our work should go to the gods. And this was a law into itself in their minds, even without the true law of God. So, will God honor the principle of the 10th? Sure, he will. But we do not have an Israeli tax, because that's what the tithe was. It was an Israeli tax. And it was actually three of them. There was the tenth that went to the priest, there was the tenth that went to the feast, and there was the tenth that went to the poor.
And that's another thing about, even the tithe on you'll see a lot of Israel, and that was, again, it's one of my leadership flaws, not wanting to ask people. And I think it's like a defense mechanism I've built up throughout life, throughout my living, not being able to depend on anyone. And I kind of built up this defense mechanism where I don't like to ask nobody. And if I do have to ask somebody and they tell me, I kind of get in my feelings a little bit. And I don't even want to give you the opportunity to get me in my feelings a little bit. I may not say nothing to you, but I may be in my feelings a little bit. Especially if I did a lot for you or whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of Israel is suffering from that. A lot of Israel leadership. I wanted to ask a brother today because I seen him put a meme up on Facebook, asking for support, or we'll put it outside or at the end of the video, or put it on the scroll bar coming across, but never really verbally saying it. A lot of us don't verbally say it. The church, because it's such a dire need in those churches, that 90% of these churches fail. They've learned to ask for it. It may be in seminary training, a class on how to how to get this money, the psychology of getting people riled up, playing the music at a certain time. It's a lot of it. They ain't just getting up doing this stuff. They are. It may look like it's just random stuff that keyboardist is playing. He's playing with the preacher, and then he's coming in with, and then the little person with the little harp thing, and they playing that at a certain time, and they slowly shifting in to the offering. No, man, all this stuff is it's a well organized machine. And it has to be, if it's going to work, if you're going to be successful at church. All right, and that's what we have to understand. It's church. And watch what he finna say here.
So in actuality, it's 30%, but we don't teach it like that because the people want to revolt in church if we actually taught that. What I realize is these preachers are going to continue to play around with people as long as they let them. I mean, the truth is out here. Y'all don't have to be abused in these churches. Pastors locking y'all in buildings and saying y'all ain't going to leave until y'all give me $40,000 and all this kind of crazy stuff. If y'all would just obey the truth and walk out of these personality cults and just walk out of these money-making rings, these people will get the fear of God in them. But they're going to continue to do it because, hey, y'all like entertainment and y'all don't believe the scriptures. So
what you want? See, these churches that are being successful, and we like, man, they ain't preaching nothing. The people don't want it. They don't want that. They don't want it. Your church is going to, you in there just preaching, oh man, that church is gonna fail. You doing Bible study on Sundays, man, that church is gonna fail. Nobody want to come to no Bible study. They don't have an appetite for that. They don't. They want to be entertained. They want a church. And so, in church costs. That's one of the things I seen the brother say. He said, man, you got to know the costs. I think there's a verse in there, in Proverbs about counting the cost. Does the king not count the cost before he go to war, before he build? Like, you got to count the costs. And a lot of us have no idea what it costs to run these mega churches. No idea. No idea the kind of people, how many people you have to depend on. And you got to pay them. Ain't nobody coming in there for free. That man ain't finna keep coming in that parking lot a day, early every Sunday and cleaning up the parking lot and staying late and vacuuming and sweeping the whole the floors in there. They ain't gonna keep doing that for free. You got to do something for them people. The cameraman, the sound man, all the microphones up there. You got to have professionals doing that. Running the cameras, professionals doing that. Yeah, I think he said he was in the convention center. That costs. It costs. And I don't know. I think it was like a convention that he was at. And, they be doing that kind of stuff, man. They be probably trying to get that money to give it to somebody who traveled in or trying to put it in his pocket, a little extra for him for coming in and doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? Like how much how much you gonna pay how much you gonna pay whiners to come in? You think these pastors just be visiting these churches and they ain't finna get paid?
Y'all said the best church in Atlanta is Light of Joy. Let's go see.
You will be absolutely amazed at the way that Light of Joy has used their space for the uplifting.
I say, man, a lot of us don't even know. It's so many of these churches. It's so many churches this size. It's ridiculous.
Joy. Let's go see.
You will be absolutely amazed at the way that Light of Joy has used their space for the uplifting of God's kingdom.
Well, welcome to Light of Joy. We are just blessed, honored, and delighted to be able to communicate with you and to allow you to come into our home where it is our joy, not only
it's a non-denominational. Be careful with them non-denominational.
To serve you, but to bring you into a place where you discover purpose, a place where you belong, a place where you are planted into a family.
They have phenomenal worship. Pastor Salters preached.
I don't know if that was the sister, but it sounded very close. Did the sister that sang that song? That sounded very close. Anyway, that's his pastor named John Gray, I think. Bro, he had Tasha Cobb. He had Tasha Cobb. She's one of the biggest artists right now, I think, in the gospel realm. Tasha Cobb there and her husband running the choir, like the music directors or whatever. He was paying them $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year. Because people are going there to be entertained. They're going there to church. And if you're going there to be entertained, there ain't nowhere you finna go and sit down for 2 or 3 hours and be entertained. And think you ain't finna spend no money.
An incredible message that really compelled you toward transformation. There are so many spaces for children, you all. Like, I want to
got the indoor park for the kids.
Be a child at Light of Joy.
Whatever, we don't know what to do with that. It's got a little swinger for your newborn. They say they breastfeeding, they're nursing. They got a nursing nursery, whatever that is. All right, nice furniture, comfortable furniture for you to sit down and set up.
There's a nursing mother's room, so many different classrooms. You can tell they are intentional. They have an awesome young adult pastor dedicated.
And that's a basketball gym. Hold on, I think that was a basketball gym.
So many different classrooms. You can tell they are intentional. They have an awesome young adult pastor dedicated.
I don't know.
Dedicated space for young adults.
I don't know. I don't care. All right. I thought it was a basketball gym because of the floors. It looked like a basketball gym. But they've set up some chairs for some, I don't know.
Services.
But just keeping all this stuff up, shining them floors, it costs. Keeping the lights on, keeping the place at a good temperature, it costs. And that's what I heard that brother. That brother said it costs. It costs to sit up here. Why does it cost to sit up here? Because you're gaining influence. You're gaining influence sitting behind me, sitting on this stage. You can take pictures and you can show that you was up there on the microphone and you can gain influence. You're somebody sitting on this. It costs.
They were having an event for single women this day, and they have so many classrooms for training and gathering spaces. I loved it.
Remember, here at Light of Joy, we are reaching the lost and teaching the found. And our heart of servitude is, it's my joy to bring you into the fold, into the family, and serve with you and to be a blessing to the kingdom and the community.
I really enjoyed Light of Joy.
Anyway.
Next up, New Life Church.
So she is doing content, visiting different churches. Now, one of the most viral churches right now is 2819. And salute, to Pastor Phillips, Anthony Mitchell Phillips. He had a viral moment giving away $50K. He gave away $50K for a family that moved down from Canada. And we see here, it says you travel, this is a POV, point of view of you travel 12 hours, woke up at 4 a.m. on Sunday, drove an hour to the church, then stood outside in the line at 6 a.m. for service at 8 a.m. This man is booking. This man got all the darn hotels being booked up, because of how influential, how viral he is and his church is, at the moment. And even this post, people will drive 12 out just to post this, just to say. A lot of people just going in the church just to say, I was in the church. Y'all, we made it in. It was just an adventure. It was and to be entertained. That's the world we living in now. But this costs. You see these folks standing out here? Somebody got to be out here with these folks. That cost. Yeah. Wait, hold on. How many men did we see? Got one young brother right there. Got one brother right there very early. He got on flip-flops. Hold on. Nah, they not flip-flops. Okay. Let's see. So we got one brother there. That's a couple men over there too. Another brother. Got the kids out there. Another brother. Y'all, this before the church even open. It's 2 hours for the church open. You see them? I see some flashing lights. You see the blue light back there? It costs. You think you're gonna have the police out there and it don't cost? You gotta have parking assistance. I don't like that little bench right there. But anyway, imagine if Pastor Anthony Mitchell Phillips had Beyonce as the choir director. Beyonce and Jay-Z were the choir directors. And they paid them $300 million a year. That's basically that's a lot of money. Let's just do. They paid them 300 million a year. All right, which is what, $6 million a Sunday, basically around $6 million a Sunday. Could they bring that? Of course. a promoter could definitely bring that in. I'm sure Beyonce might cost that much, but it's possible for them to bring that in every Sunday and cover the building, They couldn't build a church big enough. They wouldn't be able to build a church big enough. People will drop everything and be moving down here to get inside of this church, where they'll have to separate it, because you just can't get a big enough building. You would need something bigger than Phillips. You would need something maybe twice the size of Phillips Arena to hold as many people. Beyonce in here singing. What that movie they did? She singing some of them movies, that gospel movie, that church movie they did. She singing some of them. Man, please. That's what people want. And if you want that, you're going to have to pay. You're not going to be able to sit in a church with Beyonce and Pastor Philip Mitchell and that plate go around and you put $5 in there. And you put $2 in there. They gonna look at you and they gonna get you out. They gonna put you out there in that lobby, in that waiting area. We not gonna have you in front. You may get away once or twice, but you gonna eventually be out there in that lobby. It costs. It costs. This is church's big business, and I go back to when the brother was talking about the offering for the feast days, and a lot of these feast days, they'll line up with the harvest, and you bringing in that harvest and you giving the 10th. And they go back to my brother doing the memes and not really, nobody's verbally acting like that. Well, and again, I've even seen ISUPK, they've been doing like little sketches and stuff saying, pay your Passover dues. You know what I'm saying? And I even remember IUIC, man, I want to say them dues was almost $500 at one point, $500 per family. And they had rented out the whole hotel. They probably still do this, where they still rent out this whole hotel and do the Passover there. But yeah, it costs, y'all. If you just know Passover, man, like, it costs. A lot of people spend a lot of money on these days. Tabernacles. Don't let this be your first tabernacles. Tabernacles may cost you almost $2,000. If you trying to buy everything from scratch, like a little generator, the darn tin and supplies, plus you done took off work for a week. You done lost that income. And you gotta eat for a week 3 times. Come on, man. Buying stuff to cook with and It costs. It costs, man. Then trying to find and paying for a lot. Unless you got some land you can sit on, but even paying for a lot to, we be doing it at Stone Mountain, man. I think for a week, man, it's like, it's close. If you want somewhere that has the running water and electricity, it costs like close to $400 for that week. And then, you and a brother could, you and a family could go, 2-3 people could go in on that. But if you want to be a little spaced out, you can do it by yourself. I did it by myself a couple times. It's close to $400. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, it costs, y'all. Everything costs. And I'm gonna close with this. That brother, there's another, and again, I use the Beyonce situation because that brother is a famous gospel singer. And so a lot of those people, a lot of his, he's get a lot of his influence from his talent, of him singing, just like a Beyonce would, etc. So, you got to pay for that, man. But there's another brother a singing brother, one of the Wyans, um, Marvin Wyan, something like that. One of the Wyan brother, but he has a church out there in Detroit. The city is suing him because he couldn't secure the loan to build the church. Kind of fell through on the loan, but he still went ahead. They raised the money. Excuse me. He got about 17 million. But it's been so long. I think it's been over 10 years them trying to build this church, and it's just been an eyesore. The city's upset. But they do kind of have it built now, but it's still about, they still need about another 17 million to put into it to, furnish the inside to get everything done inside of there. And they still trying to secure a loan. Still having issues trying to get a loan for this building, but they're in a building in a whole nother city, I think. And they're using that to try to get the money to, build this thing. And then once they build this, y'all willing they build that church and it becomes successful, you know what they'll do? They'll go build another one. And maybe they can get the loan this time because they have this asset here worth 34 million, 50 million, or whatever the case may be. Also too, I'm sorry, last point. The narrative about why churches are in rough areas and bad communities. I seen this church a few weeks ago. And they pass out food every Thursday morning. Every Thursday morning, I'm going to get my coffee. I see them out there passing out food. And it's mostly, it's mostly black people out there. Mostly us out there. You see a few Latinos out there also. But then I looked up, and I'm talking about line wrapped around to almost worse than it doing what we seen in that 28-19, that last part of that video. But then I noticed, just doing my day-to-day driving and going around, I looked up, I said, oh, that's a Spanish church. And so I realized, oh no, they ain't none of us going inside of there. And then when I passed, matter of fact, it was on a Sunday. I passing by on Sunday, and the parking lot is kind of empty. It ain't that, it's not a lot of people there. It ain't packed like you would think. Being that I'm thinking that all these folks go to that church, and I'm saying this to say that a lot of the people don't build those churches. The people's money don't build those churches. Those churches come to the rough areas because the land is cheap. That area, the land is cheap for them to build that church. And so they come there to build it. And a lot of these people commute to those neighborhoods. But that money ain't being drawn out from that neighborhood. That neighborhood's already rough. The land is being devalued. It's decreasing. And my brother was also saying, I mentioned to my brother, and he was saying too that even the stadiums, when these people are building stadiums for these professional teams, they put them a lot of times in the hoods. Why? So they can, because of, they can acquire that land a lot cheaper in that Pacific area, and then build up around it. If you can, once you navigate them folks up out of there, and then you can build it up. Sorry, y'all, just more stuff coming to me. We also showed the video of the sister in Atlanta that had that church, and that was struggling, a black historic church in the heart of Atlanta, struggling, about to go into foreclosure and all of this stuff, having a hard time paying the bills. But they had some land. They let some folks come in, let a developer come in on that land and it's finna build a few. I think about 2 or 3 high rises and some other stuff, and save the church. Like I said, just church is business, and it costs. It costs and costs. And again, what disheartened me about the whole situation was, man, I get it, y'all, but man, it was $20. If a brother came with a plan and said, well, I'm gonna do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then if it works, I'll give you, elemental P. And but if it don't, but if it works, and I'm sure it's gonna work, and this is I'll give you $20. I'll give you $20, man. It's I ain't got to do a lot of thinking with that. If a brother needs, we pooling together for a brother, and it's just $20, man. And but it can do a lot also. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that in Israel. We can't get 1,000 of us to give $20 without it sounding crazy. We ain't got nobody in this community that we could, let me say me, that I can trust. Y'all may trust them. I don't trust them. I don't know nobody in Israel that I would trust 1,000 people giving them $40,000. And that's simple money. And I will put my 20 in though. But it's some people I probably wouldn't though. It's a few that I probably wouldn't, but most of them I could. I could give General Yohana $20. I can give Bishop Nathaniel $20. I give a few others $20. You know what I'm saying? The Quam. Brothers over there at Battle Axe. One body leader. It's a lot actually. And then I'll give them that money. I'll take that back. There are a few that it's $20. And if we don't pour into each other like that, we never gonna have nothing, y'all. I'll just be 100. That shouldn't offend us. $40,000 from 1,000 people shouldn't offend us. Or rather, $40,000 from 2,000 people shouldn't offend us, man. It shouldn't be a shocker for us. Because if we're gonna have any kind of institution, man, what? Come on, y'all. That's a Toyota Camry. Brother say, hey man, let's put $20 together to get Elder Kanai, Zabak, Priest Zabak. Let's buy him a Toyota Camry. We just need 2,000 people to put $20 together. Boom. Hey Israel, man, we just need 2,000 people to put $20 in to start this pizza business. We got a piece of business, a kosher piece of business. I seen that salute. I want to say they from Battle Axis, but they in that Dallas area. With a pizza business, the kosher pizza business, man, we need 40,000. We asking Israel to get a $40,000 loan. I got $20 for that. That ain't nothing. I ain't got to blink. I've been seeing the sister selling pizzas. I got $100 for that. But I say, it was just a little disheartening for me when I see all this hoopla about $20. When I see $20 got us that bothered, and it ain't that it got us bothered. It's just a viral moment. And this is just what we do, man. This is how the world works now. You know what I'm saying? But again, pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom.